Well, good morning, everyone. Just want to welcome you all to the annual Meet the Candidate that is being broadcast on 1890. For those of you who are sitting at home, we have a full house, so you're more than welcome next on the 21st to get down here. We'll have plenty of seats for you. First thing I'd like to do is to thank everyone for being here. This is a very important occasion, and I just want you to know that we have some excellent candidates to speak to you today. But before we begin, I want to introduce our esteemed nominating committees for 23-24, and that is Bitsy Condra. If you'll stand up, Bitsy. Just stay standing. The next one is Joe Kittle, Fran Lineweaver, and Jim Erst. Thank y'all all for your hard work. And I'm Marguerite Koshanik, and I'm the chair of the nominating committee this year. I want to begin by saying that, hang on, let me get my notes. As a reminder, March the 21st, elections will be held here in this room. You can register at 8 o'clock, and the voting will begin hopefully at 9 o'clock. This is a live session of Meet the Candidates. It's being broadcast, and we will rebroadcast this on the Towers website so you can view it anytime you want to. And also on March the 20th, the day before, we will have it set up here on a big screen that you can come and enjoy watching it with your neighbors if you'd like to see it one more time. Okay, come on in. First of all, the nominating committee consists of 5 members, as you saw. Those 5 members serve a 1-year term. These candidates that are up front are the ones that we have selected for this year's candidates. Our committee has worked very hard to present to you a slate of dedicated people that have agreed to help and to volunteer and to work for you, the members of the Towers. As you know, the board of directors and the nominating committee names and bios are posted in the PEDMAL. And I've seen a lot of you going over reading their files, their reports, but this is, you can see them in person, kind of get a feel for who they are and what they want to do and help you here at the Towers next year. This is an informative presentation. It will not be, there will no longer be questions asked of each person, but if you would like to stick around afterwards, we'll have tea, coffee, water, that you can talk to the candidates with any questions you have that you need more clarification from. Excuse me. The first, okay, I'd like to introduce now the candidates for the nominating committee. They'll be announced in alphabetical order. They will have two minutes to speak. You're going to hear a bell at 30 seconds. This was agreed on by the candidates at our first meeting we had. They wanted a bell at 30 seconds, so that Fran will ring a bell. We will then, at the 2-minute mark, the mic will be cut off. So just to let y'all know, they may still be talking, but the mic will be cut off. And they've already agreed to all of this, just to let y'all know. So the first candidate in alphabetical order is what we're doing is Tom Arbach.
Good morning, everyone. Morning. Tom Arbaugh, 1814. First, let me start off with saying I have a master's degree in business administration, and that's where they tried to teach me how to run a business. And you know, that's what we have at the Towers. We have a big business, $10 million a year business. So my opinion is to have one or two people with MBAs on the board of directors would be a good idea. But it goes beyond just having the degree. We're looking for relevant experience that they have from their civilian life that we can use here at the Towers. I was on 3 different boards. One of them was the board of directors at the Elks Lodge. I was there for 5 years. I was the president. And there's some similarities between what the Elks Lodge does and what we do. It's interesting. They had a food service function. They had a full alcohol license, and they did a lot of social activities. And so that kind of experience sounds like what we do here. What do corporations do when they're looking for a member on the board? What are their criteria? First criteria is experience, relevant experience that they can use. The person has to be successful. They have to be recognized as an expert by their peers. And they will go anywhere they need to go to find these people. Throughout the state, throughout the United States, they're looking for these experts. We, however, don't have that advantage. We have 450 people that live. Some are willing to serve and others are not, but that we have a much smaller population. What are the most important qualities for a board of director candidate? Relevant experience, period. They also have to be able and willing to work the issues of the board. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. A little glitch there, but we've got it covered. What would a meeting be without a little glitch? Our next candidate is Brad Brower.
Good morning. I'm Brad Brewer. I'm in 602. I would like to refer to it as Baja Towers. We're a little bit lower than most people. Today, I will speak briefly about some of the things that were on the questionnaire for the nominating committee. Primarily, with the question about what are the most important qualities for a board director candidate. The Towers is a multi-million-dollar building, and we have multi-million dollars of expenses and income, and this requires a quality oversight and direction by the directors. So I'm going to go through how I answered this question. What are the most important qualities for a board of director candidate? 1, a board member should know what they don't know. A board member should have a willingness to ask questions. A board member should have the ability to read and analyze a balance sheet and operating statements. A board member should have experience in developing and managing a budget. A board member should have the ability to differentiate their role as the director being to make policy, yet versus the management's role is to. Did we got there? You fade out there. And a board member should have a thorough understanding of their fiduciary responsibility. Like I said earlier, this is not your typical homeowners association. This is a multi-million-dollar operation, and we are all shareholders in that operation and need to have good quality directors.
Thank you, Brad. Our next candidate is Mary Downing.
Good morning, neighbors. Can you hear me? Okay, good. If you read my bio, you know I've had some good deal of experience serving on boards. but I'm not going to go through that right now. What I want to tell you is that I have a strong belief that some background in previous board service is an important attribute for board service at the Towers. As a candidate for the nominating committee, I would use my previous board experience to help identify potential candidates in this community. Having traveled extensively, both as an Air Force wife and as a tourist, I also have experience meeting and connecting with people all over the world. I would suggest that this would also be a helpful trait for someone on the nominating committee. In my opinion, board service should not be treated as a private club or a secret society. It is a position of service to the community we live in, and it's a privilege that can be both rewarding and challenging. Board members should encourage and practice open communication, humility, and respect to all members of the community. If elected, I'll do my best to identify potential board members who meet those criteria. I would also encourage you to share with me other criteria that you feel would be important and the names of community members who you believe would be good additions to our board, including yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Our next candidate is Diane Humiston.
Thank you, Marguerite. As she said, my name is Diana Humiston, live in 1501, and I am a candidate for the nominating committee. During my 8 years that I've lived here at the Towers, I've been involved in Towers governance for 7 of them. I've served on ad hoc committees, standing committees, and on the board of directors for 4 years, one of which was as a vice president and 2 as your president. Currently, I am the CIMC chairperson. There are qualities that potential candidates for the board need, in my opinion. One of them is a willingness to make their priority the common good of the Towers and of all residents versus a personal agenda. A willingness to work as a member of a team to research possible solutions for the problems we have here, excuse me, and to solve those issues based on that research. Also, a willingness to understand the fiduciary duty of the board member of our community, to act within the bounds of their authority, to act in good faith, to consult with experts in the relevant fields, to get sufficient information, and then base your decisions on what is best for the Towers. And lastly, a willingness to give of their time, because board members spend a great deal of time in meetings of all types. The search for potential candidates is a major commitment, and I am willing to take on the responsibility, and therefore I request your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Our next candidate is Carol Jenkins.
Good morning. I'm Carol Jenkins in Unit 1404, although you can often find me in Unit 1412, visiting with my mom, Connie. I've been a resident here for about 4 years, and she has been here for 13 years, and so I've been visiting the Towers for quite a while. I've lived in San Antonio for many years and remember it as a 30-something watching across the horizon as it was being built. And little did I know then that 35 years later I would be a resident myself and loving it. The Towers has always maintained a wonderful reputation in town, and I am honored to be elected. If I am honored to be elected to the nominating committee, I will do my best to further this by working to find the most qualified candidates to fill our board of directors and future nominating committee members. I would be looking for board members that have a clear sense of their fiduciary responsibilities to the building, as well as to the residents living here. Each of our 428 residents has a voice that should be heard, and no one should feel left out. Our wonderful building is starting to feel its age. Not only must current issues be addressed, but future ones must be anticipated and planned for. The mission of the building as an active retirement facility must also be protected. A board that works cohesively with strong vision while maintaining as much communication and transparency as possible is ideal. Being a board member in a vertical building can be a tough job, but someone has to do it. And I'm grateful to those that are willing to volunteer their time to lead our lovely home into the future.
Thank you, Carol. Our next candidate is Merlin Judd.
Good morning. I'm Merlin Judd, and I have been happily living here at the Towers since 2020. I'm honored and excited to be a candidate for the nominating committee for next year. I would like to find qualified individuals for next year's board who will continue to make the Towers a great place to live, and it is pretty great. We have a really good system here. We don't replace all the members every year, so we have consistency and experience, and we don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. By electing new members each year, we are able to provide new blood and new ideas, and I think that's needed in any organization. The board of directors' job is quite challenging and time-consuming. It requires a high level of dedication. I think all the current members of the board have that. I know my friend Diana Humiston, when she was president, she never traveled, she never went anywhere. I was very impressed. Her focus was on the board and on the Towers. Having said that, though, I believe there can be a level of burnout. So we need to find qualified, talented neighbors who would be willing to make this kind of commitment. And we have a wealth of highly skilled, experienced residents here, everybody in this room. It would be my pleasure to search for those individuals willing to serve and have this kind of commitment to the 2025 Board of Directors. I love people, I love to talk to people, and it would be something I would enjoy doing for all of you. So I ask for your vote at the annual meeting on the 21st, and I thank you for listening.
All right, for our last member candidate will be Mary Wolford.
Good morning. My name is Mary Wofford. I live in apartment 1217 with my husband, Dan, and we moved into the Towers August of 2022. I think I was the first Wofford or the first Yankee in the Wofford family, so it was quite an experience for me to move to the South and become one of them. I worked in HR departments for many years. I moved people all over the country, all over the world. I moved corporations and dealt with a lot of people in interesting situations. I'm honored to be a candidate and look forward to working with this organization. I'm a volunteer, like Mary Downey, my friend. Mary and I volunteer. I volunteer in many organizations and did that when I retired. I thought, well, I've retired, I've done my work, now I'm going to do my play work, so that's what I'm doing. We are nominating, the nominating committee nominates the board of directors. And who are they and what do they do? We have 5 individuals that we'll be looking at this year. Our board of directors consists of 9 candidates. They are responsible for the direction and management and business affairs of the association. We look for people who are interested in being on the board. It's a huge job, takes a tremendous amount of time, as many of you know, and we appreciate them taking the consideration and the interest and we're helping all of us. We look for candidates who are talented and concerned with their fellow residents and the quality of life and the safety and the health of everyone, who are responsible financially and have no hidden agendas and open to suggestions and helping others. One of the things I love about the Towers is the kindness and caring of the individuals and the people who live here. Let us all remember that this is one of our greatest assets in this vertical neighborhood that we all
Well, thank you, everyone. That was awesome. What I'm going to do now, thank you that came in to listen to our candidates since we started. We're going to switch. The nominating committee is going to get up, and our board of director candidates are going to come in the same order that they're in and take their seats. Thank y'all. Feel like we're at a pageant. You come up, then you switch and go in the straight line. Okay, so our next introductions are going to come from our candidates for the board of directors. The board of directors, we have 5 positions this year that are open to be filled. These candidates, if they are elected, will serve 2-year term on the board. We will give them 4 minutes to speak and explain their roles, their plans, their skills in serving on the board. Fran again will ring a soft bell. It didn't sound too soft, but it was great. Scared me the first time. So the first candidate that you're going to be hearing from today is Linda Allen. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Linda Allen, room 2116. I've been here 5 years. You've all seen my resume posted. I don't need to go over any of that stuff. I am currently on the board of directors and the treasurer by way of, I served on facilities and budget and finance committee before getting on the board. Now, as for my philosophy on what I want to do on the board, well, what I'd like to accomplish, to continue doing, is to put the building infrastructure on a sound financial footing and a schedule to make sure things are updated when it is time to do the updates to them. And also keep or enhance our amenities, because that kind of makes it worth living here. And it's also incredibly important for the physical and mental well-being of our residents. As for the board, and there's a spider there, the board is their residents. It's a team of 9 very strong-willed people. And I find if there's something I feel strongly about, it's my responsibility to convince the majority to go along with that. If I can't do that, then I need to be able to at least entertain the possibility that I might be wrong, or at least they're more right than I am, and be able to work with, because it is a consensus. My opinion on something is not the main thing. It's the consensus, because the board speaks with one voice. And we don't always get our way on things. I never have always gotten my way on things. But the board that we have now, I'm proud to be on it. There's no doubt in my mind that any one member of the board is not totally dedicated to what the residents of the Towers need. We may have our own different opinions on how to get there, but I do not doubt their dedication and their service to the Towers. And I think I've ended early. So, thank you. Okay.
I'm going to try to get a mic, and that way I won't have to come up here each time to introduce someone. So our next candidate will be Mr. Bill Kuhn.
Good morning, residents. I'm Bill Kuhn, Unit 2007. I would like to thank the nominating committee for all their hard work and difficult decisions over the past year, and for all of you who are here this morning. I have had the privilege of serving as president of your board of directors for the past 2 years. Working with our committees, management, and individual residents every day has shown me that this community requires a team effort. I'm seeking your vote for the Board of Directors to allow me to continue the work that I started, to ensure that our building is maintained and remains the strong community that we have as our home. Excuse me. Some of the board's accomplishments over the past 2 years are working with the city and Belmead Homeowners Association to maximize the $300,000 in bond improvements to Belmead Park, our backyard. Working to untangle the parking space crisis in the garage that was 30 years in the making. Pivoting the focus of the budget to ensure that we carry out our most important crucial responsibilities, which are to maintain our building and the reserve funds. The result was passing the budget by a large margin, and I want to thank you all for your support on this. Changing our sales system from an expense to a significant profit center. Improving the transparency of board meetings, and selecting a highly skilled new executive director, Deborah Armstrong. There are continuous challenges that come before us. That is life. The Board of Directors, together with Somerset Management, strive to resolve these challenges in the best interests of our community. We have hidden talent and resources among the members of our community. We have a great system of governance and a great partner with Somerset. We need to utilize them all. Some of my priorities, if I'm fortunate enough to gain your support for another term, are to work on proactive and preventive measures to address the continued water leaks and flooding from resident units. I support our maintenance department in their efforts to identify old plumbing components in our units that have recently been found to be a major source of the problem. To continue to address the confusion over emotional support and service animals in our building, and enforcement of the common sense policies put in place by our board last year. To encourage residents to be involved. Let's look at change, which is inevitable, in a positive light, as an opportunity for improvement. Most importantly, to continue the focus on maintaining our building with a budget that ensures we have appropriate funding to be the premier retirement community. I ask for your vote for the opportunity to serve you on the Board of Directors for the next 2 years, but most importantly, I urge you all to vote to participate in the future of our shared home, our shared investment. Like I said, this is a team effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Our next candidate is Jack Downey.
Good morning. and good morning to our TV audience. I'm Jack Downey. I live in 1416 with my beautiful wife, Mary, and we've lived off and on in San Antonio for 37 years and have been in the towers for 9 months. Some folks are saying I'm too new to be on the board of directors. I recognize I'm a bit of a newbie, but my 50 years of board service, board work, and board consulting experience will serve you well. If you've had an opportunity to read my application on the wall out at the atrium, you've seen the breadth of my board experience. But what is not on that paper is that I proudly served for 26 years in the United States Air Force. Upon my retirement, not knowing what to do, at the suggestion of a friend, I became a loaned executive for our local United Way campaign and helped raise $40 million for our community. That experience led me to work for the next 25 years with nonprofit boards, nonprofit executives, and nonprofit agencies all across San Antonio, in several states, and on the national stage as we fought for children's advocacy and children's rights. I worked with boards from well-intentioned but inexperienced startups, to boards that were in serious financial and legal difficulty, to boards that were peopled by extraordinarily wealthy and experienced community leaders. I led and served on boards that were challenges and boards that were a joy. In all of that, I learned that successful boards are peopled by volunteers who place service to others above self. They are there to ensure that the people they represent can enjoy security, safety, success, and the pure stimulation of a good life. In our case, the board is not convened to tell you what to do. It is convened to ensure that what you want done is done quickly and effectively. Successful boards are solution-focused. I once asked a general, what did he look for in officers? He quickly replied, any fool can bring me a problem. I look for people that bring me solutions. Our board must be solution-focused. Once an issue is identified, the undaunting challenge and focus must be on successful implementation of the solution. Successful boards need a bias for action. Anyone can talk, but as one of my favorite singers, Toby Keith, sang to us, a little less talk and a lot more action goes a long way. It ensures that action is taken as promptly as possible and avoids the repetitive, circular, endless debate that ends up with no solutions and is frustrating for the people that the board is supposed to represent. Successful boards recognize the need for term limits. No board member owns their seat. Every board I ever served on or worked with had term limits and enforced them strenuously. BoardSource, the National Resource Center for Boards, recommends for boards of our nature 2 3-year terms. A board without term limits blocks the introduction of new faces, new ideas, and new approaches that strengthen the work of the entire board. In conclusion, let me say I've been recognized with induction into the Hall of Fame in my college. The Texas Alliance for Children and Families gave me their first ever Lifetime Achievement Award. And the San Antonio Police Department recognized my service to the San Antonio community with the highest award they present to civilians, the San Antonio Award. I respectfully seek your support and vote, and if
Thank you, Jack. As you can see, the cutoff at 4 minutes, but thank you for going ahead. Our next candidate is Bruce Hooper.
Okay. Good morning. I'm Bruce Hooper, Unit 1707. Hold on. Good morning. I'm Bruce Hooper, Unit 1707. My wife Judy and I moved to the tower 7 years ago. I am seeking re-election to the tower's board of directors. When you are elected to the board, you are required to become knowledgeable of our bylaws, our proprietary lease, our resident handbook, and the rules and regulations of the towers. You are volunteering to serve over 450 different people. I have served on the Budget and Finance Committee for 4 years. I am currently the board representative to the Activities Committee. And for the past 2 years, the board has elected me vice president. When you are on the board, it gives you insight into what is fact and what is fiction. Now, here are some very important facts. You and I own the towers. We are not renters. The towers has no debt. We do not budget for profit. And our building has a very favorable tax arrangement with Bexar County. For these reasons, the towers should always be the best value in adult living in our area. The most important things for a board member to do are preserve our amenities, keep our association financially strong, take care of our associates, and maintain our building. This is our home. We are the owners. And I will continue to work diligently to take care of it. I want the best life possible for everyone in our community. I will continue to communicate transparently and honestly. Integrity is priceless. In the end, that is all any of us will have, and I intend to keep mine. Thank you. I would appreciate your vote.
Thank you, Bruce. Our next candidate is John Osborne.
My wife and I moved into the towers 8 years ago. We selected the towers because of the location, quality of life, facilities, availability of services and amenities, and the excellence of the staff. Now, with 8 years of hindsight, we're very comfortable that we made the correct decision. When I was initially approached about the possibility of running for the board, I had reservations. The position has significant responsibilities requiring a substantial investment in time and effort. But one consequence of living in a self-governing community ought to be a willingness to participate in that governance. Some of my goals for the towers have been and will continue to be, first, modernizing towers' information systems for residents and staff. For example, there's a great deal of information maintained on our resident website. After an initial learning curve, most users find accurate, timely, and useful information is available 24 hours a day. Another example is electronic voting. The hour-and-a-half members meeting last November could have been replaced with a 15-minute meeting. That 15-minute meeting would have provided the same 50% quorum requirement, except that those who vote electronically would be counted but would not need to be physically present. It would have at least equivalent security and voter anonymity protections. But perhaps most importantly, any eligible resident who was not willing or able to physically attend would not be automatically disqualified or disenfranchised, as is now the case. Second, nurturing the social side of life that has made and continues to make the towers a very appealing place to call home. Respect for fellow residents and staff, as well as concern for their well-being, has always been and must remain a characteristic of Towers life. Third, remembering that if there are 450 residents here, There will be 450 opinions as to exactly what constitutes the right course of action. Compromise and coordination or cooperation are necessary if we expect any shared progress on any issue. Fourth, assuring the maintenance of the tower's physical plant. Included with the building, grounds, equipment, and infrastructure is the installation of new items that almost certainly will become available and advantageous as technology progresses. It is essential to maintain adequate funding to defray the cost of the inevitable repair, replacement, enhancement, or improvement of the various components of the plant at the time that it becomes necessary and desirable to do so. The difficult and demanding process of developing estimates to do that, to ensure those funding levels, will be best done by combining the experience and expertise of our maintenance and management staff with a professional reserve study that's done by an outside firm and updated regularly. Necessary oversight is accomplished by resident involvement along with committee and board review and input from the beginning until the end of the budget process. I consider myself privileged to have been nominated to run for the board. I'm asking for your vote and will do my best to be worthy of your trust. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Our next candidate is Otis Parchman.
Am I here? Anyway, good morning. It's nice being here among all of you, and I hope that you'll see fit to put me on the board. In any event, I have one piece of my story some of you have heard. I probably date back to familiarity with this place more than almost anybody here, in the sense that I had the mortgage on the day on the dirt when they started building. And MacD would come by and pick me up and bring me with him to see what the progress was. It was a real adventure. In any event, the one thing that I got out of my activities before getting into business or anything else was parliamentary procedure. FFA, Future Farmers, has a major parliamentary procedure program. And the one I was associated with, the major city of Luling over here, was second in the state in their time. Now, unfortunately, I think East Central was first, but they earned it. In any event, from there I went to Citibank, New York, out of college, and wound up first assignment in Panama, which was a great experience. But Panama was one of their top 3 banks out of a couple of hundred overseas. It was a great place to train me, and it was thoroughly enjoyable. And from there, I went to San Salvador, El Salvador. Same thing. Now, during all this, I forgot to mention, I was flying 1,800 miles a weekend, or once a month, to attend Army Reserve meetings. And I met a lot of people from Fort Sam during those 6 years. All pleasant. In any event, from there, I went to Honduras. And there's some real excitement here. It's an interesting story. I'll make it short. And I was in one of their branches. If you know Honduras, San Pedro Sula is a well-known community. And it was the major port then. But the deal is, we had a kind of an incident with one of our clients. It appears that the Honduras banks never sued anybody. Now, what they had to do is either sell some collateral or just write it off. which is what they did a lot of times. Well, I didn't know this. This green kid from Citibank, we sued him, get your money back. And I did that. And the borrower said, I'm not going to pay you. Well, bottom line is, we went to the colonel, who's going to be the president of the country. This guy got his citizenship canceled and deported, but we got our money. But in any event, same thing back in Honduras and in Panama. We had we built a bond.
Hang on a second. Thank you, Otis. Our next candidate is Ron Perry.
I'm Ron Perry. My wife Dixie and I live in apartment 1911. Interestingly enough, we lived in the towers from 2012 to 2017. Subsequently sold our apartment and bought a new home in Georgetown, Texas, at Sun City. Having lived there for 7 years, I can certainly attest to the fact that picking up leaves and things of that nature is, as it has always been, a burdensome affair. We sold our home and moved right back home here. We love it here. We love the people here. We remember a lot of the people who were here when we were, and we look forward to being with you for quite some time in the future. What I'd like to talk about today is the plethora of tasks associated with meeting the needs, wants, and desires of our residents. I, like several other folks, have focused on residents. That's what it's about here. We want to make patently sure that we have a dynamic organization here that will meet both the needs of the people who are here as well as those who are just coming in here. And those needs, wants, and desires will vary over time, as we well know. Most of us who have children can reflect back in 2 generations, there's a difference. And we need to be very cognizant of that difference and make patently sure that all needs, wants, and desires are addressed. Now, some, of course, won't be met for a variety of reasons, but by and large, if they concern a significant portion of the residents, then we'll endeavor to do our best to make it happen. We need in the board to make and constantly update our vision. Vision looks out, generally speaking, 3 to 5 years. It's a moving boat. Quite obviously, it's a moving boat. You don't do it and then sit back and watch it for 3 to 5 years. You nurture it, you build it, you pad it, you do whatever is necessary to make sure that it's still meeting the needs of the residents, okay? We also need to look at meeting, perhaps better, the values of our residents. And values can take a very interesting twist, whether it's church services that are provided, various activities, those types of things. We get that information fed to the board, should be fed to the board by our committees. In fact, all source information, all sources from the residents themselves to Somerset. We need to also determine the goals. The goals are our desired outcomes, and they go into the future also, and those goals will vary as we move through. As policies provide direction for our strategies, we need to make patently sure that we dust those policies off frequently, look at them, upgrade them as necessary, and make patently sure that they support our movements, our activities, the things that we want to do, as opposed to being hardcore, built-in concrete constraints. Having heard that, I will say that The act between the board and the residents is a synergy. As long as we're doing everything right, then we are in fact going to come out with a whole or an end product that is larger than the sum of the parts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron. Our next candidate is David Watkins.
Good morning. My name is David Watkins, and I am convinced that the tower is the best place to live in Texas. Why do I think it's the best place to live in Texas? Because of the people that live here and the staff we have. Management's job is to keep wheels on the wagon and to keep things running on a day-to-day basis. However, the future of our building, the direction we take, and what we want that future to be is up to us, all right? The future is in the hands of the residents, all of us. We don't want the management team to determine our future, and I don't particularly care for a small group of people making huge dollar decisions without resident input. And believe me, we have some very expensive proposals coming up, and these are not CapEx items, they are add-ons. Are we ever going to have ideas, projects, and plans that everyone agrees to? No, we will not. But they should at least reflect the needs and wants of the majority of the shareholders. By the way, I want to thank all of the residents that signed the petition about the Christmas gifts. The bylaws were followed the way they are supposed to be. And it was a reflection of the shareholders' rights to use your voices to direct how things are done around here. And I have respect for the people that participated. I have been in military communities where that would have been referred to as strong work. And it was strong work. Every year of the tower's existence, we have issues that need to be addressed, some large and some not so large. Right now, we're looking at some large expenditures that will require foresight, transparency, and involvement of the residents. And that means that it is essential for you to be a participant. Every person here has an opinion as valuable as anyone else. If you show up, the board will know what the residents want. It's imperative, it's essential that you be a participant. It's clearly the best way to have a positive impact on what our future will look like, guaranteed. I promise you that I have been and always will be transparent and your advocate for the home that we live in. Thank you.
Well, we didn't get to ring the bell, but that's all right. Fran's okay. Our next candidate is Annette Wilson.
Hello, my name is Annette Wilson and I live in Unit 1101. For the last 2 years, I have served as a member of the Budget and Finance Committee, and currently I am the chairman of the Facilities Committee. I am honored to be standing here today as a candidate for the Board of Directors. As a resident of the Towers, I have witnessed firsthand the benefits of living in a community that values independence, inclusivity, and collaboration. If elected, I will work tirelessly to ensure that the Towers remains a safe and welcoming environment for all residents. I believe in transparency and open communication, and I promise to listen to your concerns and ideas with an open mind. I am committed to making sure that our co-op remains financially stable and sustainable for years to come. This means working together to find creative solutions to the challenges we face. But most importantly, I am passionate about creating a community where everyone feels valued and supported. I believe that we are all stronger when we work together, and I am excited to be a part of a team that is dedicated to making the Towers the best it can be. Thank you for your consideration, and I ask for your vote for the Board of Directors on March 21st. Together, we can continue to build a thriving and vibrant community for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Annette. Well, as you've heard today, you have some excellent choices that you need to make. Our candidates are fellow residents, and they're here to listen to us and to help us in any direction we need to go. They're going to be put in charge of the health, the welfare, the safety of our Towers community. I want to thank the nominating committee for joining us today, and I want to thank all of the members and candidates for the Board of Directors. Thank you, everyone, for listening online and those who are here in person. We have our vote on March 21st. You register at 8 o'clock, and the count, we have to have a quorum in order to do the vote. And once that quorum we have our quorum, then we'll be able to go ahead and do our vote and our meeting. At this time, I'm going to ask that if you want to stick around, there's coffee, tea, and water, and you can speak to the candidates after that. Thank you very much.